talk about this week. It's going to be insane. Hey, everybody, and welcome to From My Mother's Basement, the show that celebrates being a geek. I'm Jason. Michael will not be joining us this week, but he will be back next week. But given the fact we have so many trailers to show, for those of you who are going to be watching this on YouTube later on, I'm sorry. You should be going to fromymothersbasement.com/past episodes and watch the full uncut version there, because we have about 12 or 13 videos, and that's me after trimming it down. So I do apologize for those of you on YouTube. It is what it is. But that's just a taste of how much news we have covering for this week's episode. I mean, it's all about E3, the Electronics Entertainment Expo that was last week, where you basically have the entire industry getting together. They say it's to promote the latest games and showcase what's coming next, but really it's all about the drinks and the swag and the concerts and God knows what else that goes on behind the scenes. Stuff that we really can't get to, but we know it's there. But although I do have to say, there are so many people that could cover E3 so well. I know I've covered it with past shows, years ago. We've done a fantastic job. Michael and I in past E3s, we've covered it here on From My Mother's Basement, and we do a great job of that. But then when you have people who are paid to be there to cover it, like the Los Angeles Times, and they have this article showcasing their ineptitude, Nintendo's white PlayStation 4 debuts. Okay. Well, in the picture, the guy with the cool Batman shirt is holding a Wii U game black gamepad. I didn't know Sony and Nintendo already made amends, and they've actually teamed up for the PlayStation 4. That's a real big scoop, LA Times. That's fantastic news. But in reality, we know that's not the case. They haven't teamed up since before the first PlayStation. And you guys probably know about the history behind that. I could do a whole episode just on that history. So we have a ton of stuff to talk about. I'm going to try to break it down by the big three and a couple indie stuff at the end. Let's start off with Nintendo. Nintendo, I think, really had a lot to prove this year. Mainly for the fact that, let's face it, we already knew since the reveal a couple years ago, the Wii U, while as powerful, maybe a little more powerful than say an Xbox 360, once the current gen kicked in, the Xbox One, the PlayStation 4, it was left behind the dust in terms of graphical quality, power, etc., etc. But Nintendo's always been known to forge their own path, and while they did post losses, I think the past couple quarters, I could be wrong about that, I have to say, after watching all the news that came out of Nintendo's booth at E3 this year, out of the current gen of consoles, the Wii U, the Xbox One, the PS4, the one I will definitely pick up first will be the Wii U. And I'm going to showcase a couple things that'll help, show why I'm like that. I do have to say, though, with Nintendo foregoing for yet another year an actual in-person press conference in favor of their digital events, I think they're actually getting onto something. It works for them. It probably would not work for, say, Nintendo, or sorry, with Microsoft or Sony. But I think with this year, I kind of like this little add-on that they did, this team up with like Robot Chicken for his little gags, and it worked out really well. Let's showcase the beginning of that, shall we? That is a way to start a press conference. The big news there with more info on Smash Brothers for the Wii U. They announced several new characters. They announced the whole amiibo thing. We'll get to that in just a moment. A couple of the other things that they mentioned throughout their digital presentation was from a longtime, member of Nintendo's creative team, I guess you call it. Is also the series producer for all the Legend of Zelda games. Eiji Anumuna. I probably spelled his last name. I apologize. He had a little special bit during the digital event that really caught my eye, and it caught a lot of people's attention. Enjoy. Oh yes. Oh yes, it's gonna happen. Yay, a brand new Legend of Zelda. It's highly overdue, and I'm still gonna, if anything, I will buy a Wii U just to play that game in 2015. I cannot wait for more information about that. A couple reporters actually was asking the Nintendo crew after the digital event about those scenes. Like, was that pre-rendered? Is this just a concept? And they said no, that's in engine, that's in game. So that just makes my mouth water. Like, oh, we're gonna have Zelda meet Skyrim. Awesome, it's gonna be great times. Um, on a side note, they mentioned it briefly during the Smash Brothers presentation. This whole new thing called Amiibo, Amiibo. Um, I'm not surprised Nintendo's getting into this, especially since Skylanders has I think made over $2 billion over the past few years since its inception. When Disney launched their Infinity game, their variation of it, it sold I think 30 million copies in the first week or something like that. So it's not a surprise Nintendo's going to jump in on this. We've known for a while that the Wii U gamepad has an NFC sensor in it, but nothing has really taken advantage of that until now. Now we know what they were looking at. So you're basically going to, for all you collectors out there, I can easily imagine you're going to spend a grip ton of money on all of these because these will help you increase your stats or bring in a special character or make a special event or download something like a unique item for some of your favorite Nintendo games in the upcoming years. So we have no idea about pricing or anything like or release date. All these pictures you see or figures you see in front of you are just prototypes, so they should not be considered final. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Nintendo. They already have the hardcore Nintendo crowd behind them. They're definitely gonna pick this stuff up and just make crap loads of money. Nintendo will go back to their old school it prints money kind of thing, especially when Amiibo kicks in, because I know many people are huge into Skylanders. They've dropped tons of money into that. Same thing with Disney Infinity, because not only is it a cool looking little figure for collectors, but also provides something digitally in a game. So that little combination, I'm sure many people are going to jump in on that. Miyamoto was there. Obviously, he's always there. He was showcasing 2 out of 3 new ideas for games. There was like a mech one about like you walk around. There's a another one they called a guard game. Essentially, it's a tower defense game that you actually view it through all the cameras that you position throughout your maze. I think that was kind of cool. Then they didn't show this third one on screen. They didn't show him playing it, but it was definitely on the floor, and he was showcasing it. Yes, Miyamoto was teasing the fact that he is working on a brand new Star Fox game for the Wii U. We'll probably have more information about this probably closer to next year's E3. According to the initial reports, there were only 2 test levels just showcasing the idea of how to use the gamepad as your controller in a Star Fox game for this console. So this is basically just proof of concept more than anything else. So I think this would actually be really cool to see as it gets later on in development. I do have to say, though, going through all of that, Legend of Zelda, of course, obviously Smash Brothers, which is not out yet, later on this year, there is one game that surprised me from Nintendo that made me want to go out and buy a Wii U right now. And it's called Splatoon. They took a whole section of Nintendo's E3 booth, which is actually pretty sizable as it always is every year, just for this game. To get a sense of what it is, check out this trailer. Oh yes, oh yes. So, like some of you in the chat has already mentioned, whoever just thought up this game had to have been going, I'm gonna play some Counter Strike, but you know what? I really like Squid Girl. So let's put the two together, and honestly, it actually works out pretty well. It's a very basic premise. You have two teams of four each, and essentially the objective is not only beat your opponents, but also cover the map the with your team's ink. The team with the highest coverage wins, and it's a very simple premise, and it looks so polished that it just looks so much fun. Throughout E3, there were a number of live streams, from Twitch and from a few other companies out there. I know Spike TV had their stuff for the only just the press conferences. They didn't do actually stuff on the floor, as far as I could tell. But the thing is, though, I had all of those running, but the one that I always turned back to watch was the Nintendo stream that had people playing the demo of this game for like 5 hours straight. I couldn't get enough of it. It looks so much fun. And yes, this is a Wii U exclusive, so you're any chances of getting this on like another either console or PC through Steam, not a chance in hell. So it just looks, I can't get over the fact it just looks so much fun, looks so much polished. There's strategy involved in this as well, because in order to fill up your ink gun, essentially, you have to turn back into a squid and swim through your team's ink. And that allows you to go up walls and everything else. You have a bunch of strategy that way. It just looks so much fun. And Nintendo gets that all the time, where they don't have to have the best graphics. They don't have to have the latest and greatest in tech. As long as they make a game fun, people will flock to their systems. I'm definitely be one of them in the very near future. Let's move on away from Nintendo and let's talk to Sony. Sony had a bunch of stuff to talk about this year. On a side note, for starters, they did mention, we know it as initially as the PlayStation Vita TV. They're going to drop the Vita from the name. They're going to call it the PlayStation TV. It will be available coming to the US, Canada, and Europe this fall for $99. If you guys don't remember, essentially what this device does is allows you to play the majority of the PS Vita titles on your TV. And yes, you can also stream PS4 titles to another TV using this device. Kind of a nice little feature. I don't know if I would actually play that, pick it up. All depend. I could see many people who have little kids, family members who the adults want to play the PS4 or PS3 for a bit. They'll put the kids in one of the bedrooms, hook up the the PlayStation TV, and let them play that way. So there's that option. Let's see what else they have there. They did announce obviously a bunch of upcoming games. They heavily focused on the indie development. We'll get to some of those games later on. There was actually a couple in particular that were really fascinating to me. But let's talk about some of the big announcements they came out with. Why don't we showcase this first one real quick? We do know that there's going to be another Uncharted. It's going to be on the PlayStation 4. And I have to say, the title for this game seems a bit ominous to me. It's called Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Oh yeah, so you get this very ominous feel of the whole thing. This sounds very finite. So, and honestly, that could be a very good thing until they realize they can make tons more money by making an Uncharted 5, and then they'll find some way to bring Nathan Drake back. We'll see what happens in this one. Some of the other announcements, some DLC, exclusive DLC for Infamous Second Son called First Light. We get a trailer showcasing a character. We have no idea what it's about and when it's going to come out. Yes, there will be a Little Big Planet coming to the PlayStation 4. It has a lot more depth than the PS3 versions. It looks like also, what was it? I can't remember the damn thing it was called. The 1888 game, takes place in Victoria. I forget the name of it called. My apologies. That one got pushed back to 2015, I thought. So it'll be a while before we get more information about that one. We know there's going to be a Dead Island 2. The trailer was actually kind of funny. You can actually go online and check it out for yourself. They did announce a couple new features in terms of like indie games and whatnot. We talked about like Magica 2 is going to come out on the PS4. Um, there's some. I do have to say that why, oh why, oh why are they still allowing Suda51 to continue making games? Some of them are really good. Others are just downright odd, and they don't sell at all. For those of you who love to go out and stream your PS3, PS4, and you want to go out there and share it online, right now your only option is Twitch. They did announce though that sometime in the future, they didn't announce exactly when, that you'll be able to take those clips that you recorded and actually upload them directly to YouTube. So that's a cool little feature for you guys. There will be I can't really call it an HD remake, but there will be a PS4 version of The Last of Us coming to the new system. I doubt there's going to be much more they can do. There'll probably be some additional levels maybe. It'll look a little nicer, but that's about it. We already knew that there's going to be a Ratchet and Clank CG movie in the works. We come out sometime in 2015. What we didn't know is that they're actually going to be remaking the first Ratchet and Clank game out for the PlayStation 4 sometime in early 2015. That should be a hell of a lot of fun. I enjoyed the Ratchet and Clank series. There was a couple other things. They decided to announce the latest iteration of this incredibly popular franchise is finally making its way to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Oh, and also PC. Guess what it is? That's right, yes, Grand Theft Auto 5 is finally making its way to current-gen consoles, or next-gen, however you want to look at it. And yes, finally coming to the PC. You can pre-order it right now. They also went ahead during the Sony press conference, demonstrated the co-op multiplayer portion of the upcoming Far Cry 4 game. They're going to keep on making Far Cry's almost like they made Duke Nukem games, which could be a hell of a lot of fun. Although Far Cry 3 did get a little kind of it got a lot crazy, especially with the drugs and whatnot. Yeah, it was crazy. I do have to say though that the major announcement for me that I was looking forward to was actually about Destiny, Bungie's latest game. I'm kind of jealous for those of you who actually have a PlayStation 4 right now, because they announced that PlayStation 4 owners will get an exclusive first look at the alpha version of Bungie. That's coming up. How it started last weekend. I think it's still going on right now. I'm very envious if you guys are able to jump on that. They also announced a Glacier White version of the PlayStation 4 to come along with it in an exclusive bundle that'll come out September 9th. It's going to go on for, I believe they said right now, $450. It'll include the game, obviously a 30-day trial of PlayStation Plus, which you kind of need to play online. And there was a couple other announcements. We'll get to the indie stuff in a little bit, but essentially, I do have to say the new trailer that they have for Destiny gives a little deeper insight into what the single player aspect of this is going to be, what the story is going to be like. And because Bungie are masters of, the sci-fi storyline, they just killed it with this trailer. Can't wait. We'll definitely have to get a current gen console before that starts. Let's move on over to Microsoft, and they definitely had a lot to prove this year. Considering last year they focused on the Xbox One being an all-in-one entertainment center, and I do have to say they did a damn good job this year of focusing almost entirely on the games. Everything else, all the media streaming aspects and recording and Twitch and all that stuff, that was all second fiddle to all the games. That's the way you do an E3 press conference. You can do press releases later on of all the tech, the specs and the all the numbers and whatnot, because that stuff has to get out as well. But when you're trying to get fans and especially haters, I should call them, interested in your console and the games that you have for your said console, this is where to do it. And I think they did a fantastic job with it. let's see what we have here. Obviously, they showcase Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. They showcase some new footage. They, like they always do, announce some exclusive DLC that, like past Call of Duty games, it exclusively comes to the Xbox One first. And by exclusive, I mean only like 6 months. It'll come out for, the Sony titles later on down the line. They also showcased some new footage for the upcoming Assassin's Creed Unity, which takes place during the French Revolution. And I have to say, usually when you get to the next gen of gaming, to show the graphical power, they put a bunch of characters on one screen at once. But usually they're on like a set path, they're doing some minor things, nothing really important. I do have to say though, when looking at the in-game footage for Assassin's Creed Unity, that feels like a living, breathing world. That I give them massive props for that. Looks like Assassin's Creed Unity will also include 4-player co-op, so you can create essentially your own Brotherhood of Assassins. Could be interesting. We'll see how that works out later on. You can check out both the cinematic trailer and the, I think, 6 to 8 minute in-game trailer that they showcased both at the Microsoft conference and at Ubisoft's own conference online. They announced also, similar to that 4-player co-op that you have for Assassin's Creed Unity, there's another game that has the same feature. It focuses almost exclusively on that, and it's called excuse me, Fable Legends. The Fable series is coming back with this, I guess you can call it a dungeon crawler, basically. Get 4 characters, you can level up on your own, get you guys together, run through a bunch of different dungeons. It looks like a lot of fun. Nothing really truly in depth as far as I can tell, but that's not going to hopefully limit the amount of fun that you can have with this game when it comes out later on this fall for a free open beta. I have to show this trailer. It's DLC for something that's available right now, and it's just absolutely crazy. So it's for Dead Rising 3. If you played any of the Dead Rising games, like we talked about before, when they did the whole, hey, let's showcase what we can do with the power of this new system by posting as many zombies on screen as possible, that was impressive back in the day. And then they just go crazy. Crazy in a good way, though, I have to say. Just because of the fact that they know that this type of game could be easily, taken as too serious, but instead Capcom comes around and says, you know what? Go as freaking crazy as you want with this DLC. And when watching this trailer, you'll definitely see what I mean. Yes, so this DLC, the full title is Super Ultra Dead Rising 3 Arcade Remix Hyper Edition EX Plus Alpha. If you could mention how many games they reference in just the title alone, I'd be impressed. So it is paid DLC. You can download it now. You need to obviously have Dead Rising 3, which I'm sure you can buy used at your local game store right now for probably around $30-$35. Should be a hell of a lot of fun, especially the fact that it's co-op to 4 players. That's going to be fun. I may have to find a copy in order to play that. Okay. Keeping in line with the craziness, there was a game that they announced, actually at last year's E3, called Sunset Overdrive. It's going to come out exclusively for the Xbox One. And I do have to say, in watching this new trailer and gameplay, it reminds me of the fun you would have back in the Dreamcast days, where it was just absolutely nuts. It didn't have to be realistic. It was just fun. And I think you guys will agree with me after watching this trailer. Fuck reality. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. Just have fun with it. And yeah, I mean, the art style, the gameplay footage, it just looks So much fun. Again, there are reasons that I may have to pick up an Xbox One probably this holiday, but not after. Well, not before picking up a Wii U. So, on an odd note, actually, they've been touting this upcoming game, well, game maker called Project Spark. It allows you to create your own world, your own games, your own rules, pass those on to your friends, let them play. They showcase a new trailer for it. It's looking more and more polished. It looks to be very cool. Those of you who have an eye for creative design, you're going to have an absolute blast with that game. Then they announced a very odd addition. Conker from Conker's Bad Fur Day back on the Nintendo 64. It's a rated M game. This is a rated E game. But yes, Conker is going to be available as a playable character in Project Spark. That was no one expected that one whatsoever. The thing is though, if you're going to tease me with Conker, have Rare come back and make a full-fledged Conker's Bad Fur Day. I don't care if it's a remake, I don't care if it's a sequel. Just don't tease me with having an M-rated character in an E-rated game. It doesn't make any sense to anybody. I do have to say though, what does make sense is for Microsoft to keep on pushing that Halo button. Because let's face it, Halo was one of the reasons why everybody bought the original Xbox in the first place. And with the Xbox One, obviously we're going to get Halo 5. Just not that quickly though. Before Halo 5 Guardians is available, which it won't be until, say, 2015, they are going to release what they're calling the Master Chief Collection. And honestly, this is definitely the way to do a compilation series. This puts all their compilations to shame. Let me give you a taste of it in this trailer. That's right. So, in this amazing compilation, you will get Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4 in part of this collection. So, what's great about this, each game is going to be running on their original engine. All are running 1080p, all are running 60 frames a second. That is amazing. They'll also be giving a bunch of additional graphical attention to Halo 2, kind of the same way they did a few years ago for the Halo Anniversary Edition for the original game a couple years ago, which is also included on this disc. So you get all 4 games on one disc. Amazing. Aside from giving all the levels a graphical update for like Halo 2, they're also updating all the story cinematics in terms of graphics. I mean, this is an in cinematic shot of Sergeant Johnson. Looks a hell of a lot better than he did back in the polygonal Halo 2 days. But so you're going to see some really cool stuff coming out of this. A nice additional feature about this setup, because they'll have these updated graphics, you'll also have the ability to go back to the original graphics at a push of a button. If you want to play with the original graphics, press a button, you're done. If you want to switch in-game over to the updated graphics, push a button, you're done. So you have a nice little graphical, change up right there. Also, all 4 games are getting online co-op. Now they're sticking to the original rules of each game's co-op. So like in Halo 2, it was like, 2-player co-op. Halo 3 and Halo 4 have the 4-player co-op. Now, while the graphical power of the Xbox One can allow you to do up to 8, 16, 32 player, they're going to keep it to the original on there. Even for the online multiplayer. Even the original Halo Combat Evolved, which had an amazing, multiplayer mode. That's going to get, again, online multiplayer on this disc. So freaking cool. And they're unlocking everything right off the bat. So you don't have to, go through each game and try to unlock all the hidden features and whatnot in order to try to truly appreciate it. You can actually do, because everything's unlocked, a playlist that you make your own. You can make your own greatest hits. If you want to play just the levels of all 4 games that featured flying missions, you can do that. If you want to play all the ones that featured warthog racing and whatnot, you can do that. If you want to do just, all the sections that had the flood, you can do that. amazing. I cannot wait to check this one out. And plus, also, if you buy this game, you will get into the beta for Halo 5 Guardians coming out at the end of this year. This Another thing to be included with this is actually Halo Nightfall, which is actually a brand new, I guess you can call it a TV series, actually created by Ridley Scott. Now, this is different from the Halo TV series that Steven Spielberg's working on, but what I've been told is that everything that happens in Halo Nightfall, including this brand new character that's going to show up in this series, essentially serves as another prequel to Halo 5 Guardians. So you're getting all of this for $60. If that doesn't convince you to buy an Xbox One, I'm not sure what will. Well, maybe this next one will. This is a series that has been out of touch for a while, and I'm really glad it's coming back. That's right, Crackdown is on its way back to the Xbox One, exclusively to the Xbox One, I should add on there. But we have no idea when or any more information regarding this game. I remember playing the original Crackdown, and I love it when you have these open world sandbox games that allow you to go past what you can do in like Grand Theft Auto, which would allow you to do pretty much anything but within the realms of reality, somewhat. Or, well, you know what I mean. But with games like Crackdown, and especially with like Sunset Overdrive, yeah, throw reality, throw physics out the window, just have fun. And you'll be doing that with this game. All in all, I will say, I'll give Sony like an A minus. They did fairly well with all the games they have announced. Microsoft, I'll give them a heavy B plus, because they did exactly what they needed to do. They need to probably push it a little farther, maybe give us a little more information on Halo 5. We just got glimpses, teasing and whatnot. Give us more, because that stuff will sell your console. Nintendo, I will also give a B plus, just for the sole fact that while they do have games coming out that definitely made me want to go pick up a Wii U right now, unfortunately, a majority of the games that they showcase are not going to be available probably until holiday 2015. So why am I going to buy one right now? Oh, aside from the Squid one, yeah. There are a few other games I might pick up, but that'll be sometime in the summer. All right, let's move on to some of the indie and some of the remake announcements. They were sprinkled all throughout the presentations and on the E3 show floor. For PS4 and PS Vita owners, rejoice. You are going to get a re-release of Grim Fandango. I cannot believe that Tim Schafer and Double Fine are bringing back Grim Fandango. I absolutely loved the game, and to be able to have it on like handheld, like a PS Vita, I think that's fantastic. If you guys never played it or never even heard of it, yes, I aged myself, but damn it, just go online, Google it, you'll enjoy it. We do know that the creators behind the incredibly popular Limbo are working on a new game. It's going to be happy-go-lucky and bright sunshine and rabbits, and no, it's called Inside. It's keeping to the monochromatic style you had in Limbo. It's going to be very depressing, which is going to mean if it's anything like the gameplay in Limbo, it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. There were a couple others. I'm really, really happy for this one. And I was jumping up and down when they made this announcement. And my coworkers looked at me. And when I told them what it was, they were like, what? What is this game? It looks like an amazing game that was released on the original Xbox called Phantom Dust is actually being resurrected for the Xbox One. The people who created the Panzer Dragoon Saga also worked or created the original Phantom Dust for the Xbox. It was an online-focused arena combat game utilizing both weaponry and magic. It was a hell of a lot of fun, but short-lived. The fact that they're willing to bring this one back into the current era, I think it'll have a much better chance at staying power. So that's definitely really cool to see that one coming up. There were two games in particular that are coming out, indie games, that I had to share the trailers for because they look just so cool. This first one is called White Knight. This is a strictly black and white colored Hitchcock esque feel to this game. There's really not much information we know about it except you're exploring this old mansion. You find out its dark and sinister past. You're solving puzzles. It's essentially a survival horror in a very stylized world, and they have a trailer for it, so you should check this one out. Doesn't have a really awesome look to it, and I think given with the music and the art style, I think it should be a hell of a lot of fun. They're aiming for a late 2014 release, and it'll be available for PC and Mac through Steam. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. The other one, God, this thing just looks insane. It's called No Man's Sky. And the idea behind this one, it allows you to it's a space exploration game, and you basically check out all these new worlds and these new creatures, and you fight other people, space battles, and you can categorize all the different species you find. But the thing is, this is all procedurally generated. It is a massive undertaking by a small studio. I gotta say, Hello Games, the company that's making this, they have their work cut out for them. But if this trailer is anything to be expected of the game itself when it comes out later on this year, it's going to be epic. Enjoy. Oh, I cannot wait. It looks amazing. I mean, what they're trying to do, I mean, they're putting you in like a full universe, kind of like Destiny or any of Bungie's games in the past. But this is a small unit, actually. This small indie unit's working on this, and they have some big shoes to fill if they want to go through with all of these what's it called, this hype that they're getting for this. I mean, this small little indie game got is just as much coverage at the major events as all the other, major AAA big budget titles out there. So yeah, it looks amazing. I cannot wait. Just a couple things real quick. I do have to say that Square Enix made the announcement before E3, telling people not to expect any news regarding Kingdom Hearts 3 or Final Fantasy 15. However, they did showcase an upcoming game. They may sate some of the most hardcore of Final Fantasy fans out there. Somewhat. You'll see what I mean in a moment. Yes, it's Final Fantasy VII's G Bike. Yes. So the mini game from the Gold Saucer levels from Final Fantasy VII is getting a kind of an HD remake, but it's only coming out for iOS and Android devices. This has nothing to do with any possibility of an upcoming HD remake of Final Fantasy VII in its entirety. This is more to try to sate the hardcore Final Fantasy fans out there until they finally come around and make the announcement that they're going to redo Final Fantasy VII, which I'm sure is a massive, massive undertaking. So that's all it is. um, but yeah, so, I mean, so overall, I I have to say, you got my scores for the big three. I do love the fact that a lot of indie games got a lot more coverage this year than previous years. I In past years, there's always been a game or two that I was really excited for, but honestly, I can't remember an E3 that I've, after watching all the coverage and reading all the news and whatnot, come out of and want to buy at least two or three games for every single console. And more in the fact, I want to buy the consoles now. that's very rare, and that's actually just showing the fact, at least for me, that they say gaming is dying. There's no way gaming's dying. In fact, I do have to say it's very nice to see that PC gaming is coming back in a big way. Um, it's been going up and down for a while here and there, and they always change the price points on what it costs for like a pre-built prefab system and whatnot. But I do have to say, as of like it was a year and a half ago when Valve came out saying they're working on the Steam box and they're actually allowing companies to make their own. One of the big things that I did see there through that was actually Alienware. They were working on a Steam box of their own, and it actually looked pretty cool. Had the usual specs you would find in one of the higher end systems. Although I do have to say that this bit of news that came out at E3 was kind of interesting. So they're calling this the Alienware Alpha. This is a small gaming PC designed for the living room. It's Windows based. It comes with an Xbox 360 controller and plus a dongle that supports up to 4 Xbox 360 controllers and could be able to run practically everything that you have in the Steam library at 1080p in 60 frames a second. This is essentially Alienware's Steam machine in every way except the two main things that actually define a Steam machine. It won't ship with a Steam controller, and it won't ship with Steam OS. Now, granted, later on you're able to go ahead and add those things and buy the controllers separately. But this is Alienware going out there and saying that this thing is absolutely Steam ready, and it's not like we're bypassing Steam. It's critical. I mean, they have the majority of all of the digital downloads. They just want to provide something out there that's not just solely for Steam OS. Which I kind of understand that people could probably turn this around and make this into a very nice HTPC. But and which you later on you can throw Steam on there anyways. So you have your options out there. You can either buy their the Steam box version, or you can buy this PC version. This version, the PC version, will be available this year, this holiday, for $550. Not a bad deal for what it is. Oh, I do have to say I was kind of surprised and sad to see that, like especially during like the EA press conference, they showcased more like the developer behind the scenes, what it means to what it takes to develop a game, a AAA title. And the problem is, you only showed us like brief glimpses of what you're working on, but they didn't even give us anything else to go on. Just that you're working on these. We've known this for a while. Things like, yes, you're working on a brand new Mass Effect game, and they want to take it to new worlds and a new path. And I'm like, considering how Mass Effect 3 ended, you're kind of have to. And the other big thing was Studio Dice. They had conceptual footage of what the next not Mass Effect, what the next Mirror's Edge game is going to look like, but no actual game elements, nothing, just like, hey, we're working on this, we're not going to give you anything else other than that. But I think the big telling thing, which was still kind of cool in its own respect, was the whole bit about the upcoming Star Wars Battlefront game. They did go through and showcase a couple bits of alpha test footage, but they didn't give us anything about what the game would be like. I mean, yes, they're working on it, and that's awesome, but it's E3. Show me goddamn something. Oh, well, that's just me. So maybe we'll show that that piece during a post show, because let's face it, there were so many trailers and games, and I could not fit into this game. We're already over the hour mark for this episode, but that's perfectly fine. So, but overall, I'd say it was a good E3. Like I said, there's a number of games I want to pick up for any and all of the current gen consoles, and I'm sure it's be the same for you as well. But I'm going to end this episode, not with usually what we're watching, because it's just me this week, but what you guys will be watching later on this year. This is an upcoming movie. It's from DreamWorks Animation. And I have to say that this foursome worked very well, both in the movie aspect and in their own TV series. But now this foursome is actually getting their own movie. Check it out. That's right. Penguins of Madagascar is getting their own movie, and honestly, that's gonna be a hell of a lot of fun. I do have to say that aside from bringing the original voice actors for the four penguins, some of the other voice casts that's coming onto this one, Ken Jeong from Community, John Malkovich is going to play a voice role. Even Benedict Cumberbatch is actually going to voice a role. So, it's going to be so much fun. Anyways, that's coming out November of this year. But anyways, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode, this extended episode of From My Mother's Basement. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. Stay tuned for post-show. We got some more trailers and videos from E3 that we just couldn't fit into this episode that we know you guys will enjoy. So we'll be back here next Sunday at 7 p.m. for another episode of From My Mother's Basement. Also be sure to tune in this Wednesday for another episode of At a Break at 8:30 p.m. All right, thank you so much for watching, and for From My Mother's Basement, I'm Jason. We'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.